Good morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome along as we preview the climax of MCSR's double-digit season to get you prepared for the action that'll be coming your way today. My name is Bendo, and I'll be your host for the next hour as we take a peek through the window to find out what might be in store for us as the world's best speedrunners battle it out to see who could take home the title of Season 10 Playoffs Champion and a cool $3,000 to boot. But what good would an analysis and discussion be without a cast of some of the best and brightest minds in all of Minecraft speedrunning along with me? And we've got Andronicus as well. Sat alongside him and President Poundcake is Rhubarb, and welcome you all to the show. Guys, how we doing?
Pretty good.
Doing well. Yeah.
So, of course, we're here to look ahead to this weekend's games, but first, we should remind ourselves on how we got here. And to do that, I've called in some extra special help from Down Under.
Hi, I'm Fenniq, and I'll be reporting as I take you through a record-setting 92-player last chance qualifier, one that was beset by controversy before even a single seed was played. Minutes before the clock struck 0 in Season 10, Nahan was chasing his final win, which would secure him a spot in playoffs, which he got, but this came after a 4-minute match and a forfeit. This was enough to get the ranked community talking, with people providing points and counterpoints about why this was suspicious.
And he forfeits now? It's interesting. It's just interesting.
Ultimately, it was enough for the ranked team to review the match and wipe the game from the record. The next person down the leaderboard, ulsahin, would come up into auto qualification and be in the playoffs lineup for the first time. Nahan would have to fight for his place in the LCQ brawl. But this wasn't the last time we'd hear from the ranked team before the tournament. Soon after, the ranked team announced that moving forward, all LCQ and playoff seeds would be unchecked and played directly from the natural filter. This meant that there would be no manual checking for tournament suitability. The team said that this change was needed due to overly linear seeds and metagaming, in a decision that I'm sure will continue to cause a stir in the ranked community. In any case, on went the qualification process through these new parameters, and boy did we get some interesting games. Round 7, a village overworld with diabolical lava pool locations, meant that at the 11-minute mark, Shimon was the only one of 32 runners who had completed the game. Round 8 saw Skycrab running a right triple to Chalice route, sometimes called Bank Heist, sometimes known as Jimmy John's, but an awkward pearl in the end and not being able to hit the 0 meant that this crowd favorite, the winner of MCSR Ranked LAN tournament, was eliminated from a chance at Season 10 playoffs. Round 9 landed us in hot stuff, with Shimon taking an early lava death and Jay setting himself on fire. This then brought us to round 10, with only 7 remaining players, and a fight between Dooms, Shimon, Okjay, and HDMICables for the 4th slot, the final spot for playoffs qualification. This seed delivered shock after shock, featuring deaths from Shimon and NHB, Okjay surviving a missed boat clutch by 1 heart, Jay larping as a dolphin, and HDMI clutching up after being knocked off spawner. Okjay won spectator hearts with a filthy 0, hitting an incredible back top 103 setup, but wasn't able to secure enough points to push HDMICables out of the final spot. And that is how the stage was set for the first weekend of Season 10's edition of playoffs, which I know will be hotly discussed by the panel. I'm Fenniq, now back to the studio.
So that was the wrap-up of LCQ. Thank you for Fenniq for being our sideline reporter there and detailing us to everything that happened. I just want to touch on a couple of points, first of all, before we get into the nitty-gritty of how we got onto the round of 16 and what happened in the round of 16. Just a couple of discussion points that was mainly mentioned there by Oliver. And as we've seen over the course of the round of 16, being a big talking point. Of Ranked moving over to the filter primarily just for the tournament seeds and not having any sort of tournament suitability filter anymore. There's been a lot of reaction, very mixed discussions online between everyone in the community of whether this is a good change, whether this is a bad change, especially with, one thing I think back to is BeefSalad in the round of 16. I think it was the second game, just really struggling with the nav and the zombie spawners, which has been touched on to be fixed in Season 11. So I just want to get your guys' thoughts on that, and Poundy, I'll throw it over to you first for your thought on the matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, overall, I love the change. I think there was kind of a repetitive nature, or like they said, kind of a metagamey nature of seeds in previous playoffs. Of, you know, it's almost like, and it feels weird to say this about a speedrunner or speedrunning tournament, but they were too fast or too linear. And I've loved some of the more kind of, we've already seen examples last weekend of some of the more kind of creative pathing that players have had to take on the seeds. That being said, I do think they should be they should be scouted a little bit. I don't think there should be any filters, but you just want to avoid, you know, those rare 1 in 1,000 situations where the seed is genuinely like basically unplayable or things like that. But in terms of the direction that we're headed in of having these less linear seeds, I love that a lot.
Yeah, no, really good point you make. I mean, we did see it a lot in terms of, I think, pathing, especially to Bastions, was very different across this season so far. So many different time gaps being made with that factor, especially. Just seeing, you could really see it in the difference between the newcomers and the ones that have that playoffs experience, and even their RSG experience, just the difference in ways they're able to understand the filter better and get through.
I think like one of the big changes, like you said, is pathing, its terrain. One thing that I noticed especially is that I think it gives players who are less mechanical and more whose strengths lie more in decision making a better chance to sort of even the playing field. Those like pathing decisions between structures, things like that, I think really do favor different types of players, because I think in the past we've seen a lot of, you know, highly mechanical players consistently winning playoffs over and over. And I think it's crazy to see so many of them are out already. Like round of 16, we're already down Doogile, down Hacking Noises. And, you know, I think part of that is like the less like linear nature of a lot of these seeds. I mean, we even especially saw it in the seed with NHB struggling to find the Bastion. And I think it makes it a lot more interesting. But at the same time, I think there is a risk that we're taking every time, you know, we use a seed that isn't checked. Because if, you know, the seed doesn't have the structure that it's supposed to have, or is, you know, incompletable, it can cause some problems. And I think that's something we'd want to avoid running into. But on the whole, I think it does really bring in a skill set that these runners have developed on the ladder and really puts it on the, you know, the main stage for ranked playoffs.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'd add to that is I do really like the direction of trying to make it as similar to the ladder as possible. Like, I remember a few seasons ago on the ladder, it wasn't like an even amount of each seed type. Whereas, like, obviously now you just get 20% of each seed type. But you used to have, I remember the exact number, but it was like 30 or 40% BT seeds. And I think this is kind of in the same way as that change was making the ladder more like playoffs. This is trying to make playoffs more like the ladder, because the skills should just be the same. And maybe it's just kind of highlighting, in a way, a problem with the filter, where obviously the filter is so much better than it used to be, but it's still not perfect, and you just kind of see that highlighted with them being played in playoffs. And I'd hope that maybe it makes sense for now, next couple of seasons, to do some limited seed checking just to make sure there's no horrific seeds. But I hope that in the future the filter could get good enough that you wouldn't even need that. We wouldn't even need to have this discussion.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you make really good points on the matter. I think I very much align with it in that sort of sense of trying to make it obviously not only a good experience for the players, but also a good watch for the people at home as well. And just trying to make it as mirrored to that experience as when they decide they want to try and queue up themselves. But you mentioned the different weightings of seed types in the ladder as well. And that was the second change. The second biggest change that was made for this playoffs is there's a new seed selection process, which was brought forward and trialed at the Level Up LAN. And this has been carried on into playoffs at an almost unanimous consensus by all the players. So it used to be, there would be, I think, 2 bans to seed types, or just bans to some seed types, and it would get actually picked. For now, there are no seed type bans, so we can have repeat seed type bans. Whoever's the highest seed in the matchup will choose the first seed type, and then from then on, the loser of the matchup picks the next seed type. With the only 2 caveats to that being you're unable to pick the most recent seed type, and also a seed type you have won on. So you can't just keep picking BT if you just keep picking BT. That is gone. You cannot play that no more. But it was really interesting to see, and I feel like it was very good. It feels like the players had more of a... The metagaming kind of shifted from playing the seed to picking the seed, and kind of understanding the kind of matchup that you had. You were able to this like enables more pre-scouting of opponents, being like, okay, should I pick this because I'm better at it, or should I pick it because I'm better than my opponent at it, and that sort of thing. So I thought that was really, really interesting to see for the first time.
I mean, I sort of missed seeing the player seed type stats. Like, I kind of missed seeing win percents from players on specific seeds. Like, that was a big part of like the seed pick and ban thing from past tournaments. Like, I kind of missed it. It's kind of fun data to get to have on the screen during playoffs, and I kind of hope that they do eventually bring it back, or bring back something like it.
That's fair. I honestly didn't even notice that it was gone, but like thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, where was that?
What, the pick and bans? You were like, where were the pick and bans?
Well, no, I obviously like I know the bans were gone, but just like the page where it shows all their like times, because they're still picking seeds. Like you can still show the page of everyone's times and average seed type. And I guess that my point. This kind of leads into my point where now a player, they can't really like get away with having one C type that they're like a lot weaker on, or maybe they're not going to practice as much because they know they can just ban it and move on with their day. I don't think too many runners really did that. Obviously, if you're at this level, you've got to be good at everything, but it does mean that you have to be like really polished. And also, there are certain players, like say, obviously Skycrab's not in this playoffs, but I know that against Skycrab, most people would almost always ban the BT seed, or against Infume, you'd always ban a Temple seed. And now, if you're playing them, you're going to have to play them on those seeds. So it makes it a little more interesting.
Yeah, exactly as you say. And as we said before, kind of making it more akin to the actual ladder. So we moved on into the round of 16, and quite a shock result, I think, for most people, especially in their pick'ems. Hacking Noises, a player very much tipped, trying to go the back-to-back-to-back, very much tipped to go all the way and do that yet again, actually came up without a single game win, losing 3-0 to Silver in the process, in a matchup in which these two players had not played against each other a single time over the course of Season 10. Facing off here in the first round of the playoffs, and Hax' exit ends that not only just the winning streak of playoffs, but also his podium streak, which stretches all the way back to his first appearance in Season 3 in January 2024, which is quite the remarkable stat for the player that lost to his counterpart as a coach in the Mid-Offs 2 final. Gameplay-wise, it was really kind of close in a way. Hax kind of got unlucky on the first seed with the stronghold distance, going to different stronghold, equaling different terrain. A little bit unlucky on the second one, but also willingly taking a lot of different hits, specifically with the skeletons, and then just failing the 0 in the final seed. So very uncharacteristic from Hax in this one, but the consistency of Silver just kind of shone through.
Yeah, I will say, I do remember seeing this matchup 2 or 3 seasons ago in playoffs, and I believe that that time Hax swept Silver. And the difference between then and now, I feel, is then it seemed like in every seed, Silver's playing pretty consistently like he is now, but Hax was just able to find like 30 seconds, whether it be on mechanics or micro, or just not making any mistakes. Whereas here, it felt like Silver had kind of closed that gap, and Hax made a few small mistakes, and that just was all that was needed for Silver to win the seed. So all in all, I don't think it was a terrible performance from Hax, but really impressive from Silver, and he's gonna be look pretty scary further on throughout this playoffs, I fear.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, you said it was an upset. I'm sure some people in here had Hax winning the whole thing, but not me. I had Silver winning this first round because that's the kind of knowledge I have. And yeah, I mean, there were big moments in each of these seeds. For the first seed, yeah, they got to 2 different strongholds, but even before that, Silver took a commanding lead just by going for 1 stray that was kind of out of the way and getting that extra rod. And Hax, I don't believe, ended up going for that stray. obviously, like you said, second seed, the death was really bad. And then the third seed, Hax was actually ahead, and Hax enters the end first, doesn't hit the 0, unfortunately. So that 3-0, it looks a lot kind of further apart than it was. A few key moments in each seed, and that's, I think, something like Andronicus said, the consistency. And I also think Silver excels a little bit more in the kind of format of these less linear seeds and these less scouted seeds, just because of the experience he has. I mean, obviously Hax has a ton of experience, especially in a playoff format. He's been a stellar playoff contender, but Silver's been in the community since 2020. He's been practicing, he's been grinding. Like, he's, I think, just a little more used to these less stellar seeds, less perfect seeds. But listen, I know there was a lot of, people talking about Hax's reaction, how devastating it was for Hax. But let me just say this, okay? Messi retired from the Argentinian national team after losing 2 cup finals in a row. 3, actually, if you include the 2014 World Cup. And he came all the way back, and he won a World Cup and 2 Copa Americas with Argentina, all right? Hax will be back. Hax is going to be right back on that podium, and Hax is going to be getting gold in the future, okay? Even if he takes a season break.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I noticed that I do think really made a big difference is the practice differential between the two of them. I mean, Silver obviously practicing for hours in the lead up to playoffs, and I think Hax really didn't practice that much at all. And I think you could kind of see it. Like, Silver was definitely very much more prepared for the tournament than Hax was. Yeah,
well, speaking of sweeps, there was another sweep on the other side of the hemisphere. It was an all Aussie matchup as BlazeMind took on Mongey. In a repeat matchup of last season's round of 16, when BlazeMind also picked Mongey in this matchup, and that went all the way to a game 5. This didn't even get anywhere close. It was a 3-0 by Mongey. It was a complete sweep, and it just felt like it was never really there for BlazeMind. I mean, first seed mining basically straight into a Hoglin, weirdly. I don't know what was going on there with that Bastion route. And just general more consistent play from Mongey, even when he was behind. I think this is very much kind of his sort of play style. Even when he's behind, he seems to always kind of eventually make the right decision at the right moment. I mean, in the third seed especially, he had a really rough Bastion style where he was kind of like bridging up to the Bastion and left a gold ingot on the thing, the bridge up to the Bastion. And then, like, you would think, oh, maybe try and mine it down, maybe try and build back over to it. No, we grab fire charges, light it on fire, just that sort of split-second decision to make up that time. And as a result, going through, being able to gap at zeros and ice spies and sort of stuff. And, well, that was that on an all-bridge seed. It was just revenge from Mongey.
Yeah, I think this is just a case of just pure consistency. I mean, again, another sweep, another kind of 3-4 key mistakes there from BlazeMind that Mongey just didn't make. And at the end of the day, being able to hit those 2+2 zeros, making up any sort of time where you think, oh, BlazeMind has a significant chance here, like in that third seed when he had a pretty significant lead going into the stronghold, but just obviously Mongey got a little lucky there, being able to kind of back nav into the portal room and just having faster nav in general. But it's just little things in each seed that Mongey was able to take advantage of. And obviously the death is tough. And just once you're down 0-2, that third match going into it mentally is going to be very tough as well. So just a clean play all around from BBM.
Yeah, like you mentioned, just very, very clean, very, very able to just take advantage of the situation, think on your feet. And Rhubarb, as you said earlier with the practice in relation to Silver Hax, one thing I did notice between this matchup is that Mongey's played 2, nearly 3 times the amount of games over the course of Season 10. So I think that was probably a big factor, just being able to get used to playing so much and face so many different sorts of experiences, especially when we're talking about such a different seed change up this season. I think it was just suited Mongey a lot better. Yeah, then we moved on to our next match, which wasn't our first sweep, and yet again, quite another underdog story. Debutant NHB taking down Severed Rel 3-1. I don't know how many people had this in their predictions. I'm pretty sure it might have been the biggest one on the website. I think it was 89 to 11%, which is a crazy prediction. I think there's only actually 7 people in the world currently who have a perfect bracket, so try and keep that up if you can. But it was just kind of a story of mistakes, really, from Rel. The first game was very close. Kind of brings it back in the second game. Rel does with a mistake from NHB, and then just all these sort of really small mistakes. Rel messing up the portal. We're minusing 30 seconds. We're having to use so much more rotten flesh, meaning we're going to hunger reset. We've got no food. Ral's just didn't really seem comfortable in this game. He kind of just, terrain was going the wrong way. The zeros in particular looked quite shaky just in general, and NHB's just seemed a lot more consistent. Just, again, NHB playing so many more matches, playing at least 1,500 across the season. Rel barely, not even touching 500. It seemed just a case of preparation was key here, and maybe even being able to play LCQ and get used to this filter quicker seemed to have an effect here, because NHB was able to take Rel down.
Yeah, I do think thinking about Rao's storyline, it is a bit upsetting, and I feel like I kind of maybe expected a bit more from him, since obviously up until last season he'd been in every single playoffs, and last season he kind of fell back a bit, had to go through LCQ and wasn't able to make it happen. But then, although he might not have played as many games as NHB, I know he has spent a lot of time training, a lot of time practicing, and a lot of time improving. And throughout this season, yes, he played less games, but he was much more consistent, was able to get the 6th seed, which is really impressive. And I think I kind of expected to see that more like consistent, more polished gameplay from him that worked so well for him across the ladder. But I guess unfortunately there's a lot of pressure when it comes to playoffs, and he just wasn't really able to push through.
Yeah. I also want to talk a little bit about the seed. I think it was the seed 2, where NHB was just like entirely unable to find the Bastion. It was difficult terrain regardless. I mean, I know even Rel had a difficult time finding that Bastion, but one of the things that ended up happening was, NHB was dealing with a mob, was having to sort of run from a mob on pretty low health, and ended up running into a side tunnel on terrain, rather than taking the, more clearly open terrain that would have led him pretty much directly to the Bastion. It was quite literally around the corner for him. And, that decision led to him completely backtracking back to his portal, being like, really struggling to find the Bastion in general, and resetting the seed entirely without even taking a death, which I think really threw him off for the rest of that game. But luckily he was able to really bounce back from that mistake, and it really didn't seem to affect his mental at all for the rest of the match.
Yeah, and one thing I kind of want to build off that a little bit, because you spoke about the mental ability to bounce back, and in that second seed we kind of saw both the pros and the cons of having seeds that aren't scouted as much, in terms of what for me is a benefit, getting that lava housing. I think at this level all runners should have a lava housing route in their heads, so I think that's good. Obviously I don't want it to be too frequent, but it was cool that we saw that. But then we saw something that was partially NHB's fault, partially the seed's fault, and that the E-ray spike was low, wasn't able to find the Bastion. But I just want to highlight how impressive it is from NHB to having never won a playoff game before. I believe got swept in the last playoffs, having what to a lot of players would be a very tilting situation, and being able to bounce back, win the next 2 seeds after a seed that you were basically, from the start, you had no chance of winning. So yeah, that's something very impressive for NHB, and massive props to him.
Well, yeah, NHB taking his first win in playoffs. Speaking of someone else who has taken their first win in playoffs, the former 1 seed in the both previous playoffs, EDCR taking up the 2 seed this time, able to get over the 1 seed curse, finishing out 3-1 against ulsahin. ulsahin's first ever playoffs appearance, only just squeaking in there by the sort of LCQ sort of scenario we had just before that. I just think this was just a pure golf in quality. it's crazy the difference between C2 and C12 here at the top level, how different it really was. And I just think that sort of playoffs experience, despite EDCR not winning until his third season, you know, that experience just shone through. I think this was just a pure case of EDCR, better movement, better sort of game sense, knowledge, all that sort of stuff. You can kind of see the nerves. I think it was a story of nerves from ulsahin. Couldn't really embed themselves in that game. You can kind of tell the sort of playoffs rocky nerves were sort of there, as we expect, which is not a surprise. But, you know, being able to tie it up and take a game off of EDCR at 1-1, that is definitely something he can take away from this and leave playoffs with his head held high, getting ready to go into season 11.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I noticed, despite the fact that EDCR was playing incredibly well throughout all the seeds, is that there was also, throughout almost all of the seeds, ulsahin was leading for the majority of the time. Like, there were times where he would be first into a structure, first to get to a split, and then EDCR would have to make up the time, but, you know, he did so very well, consistently throughout the entire matchup, and was able to, you know, even when he was pretty far behind, pull it back and take the win.
Yeah, from one winning Brit to another, BeefSalad taking a 3-1 win over BadGamer. And I feel like this was where the seed change really showed in this game. There was two very different play styles on offer, two very different ways of going about the seeds. We had in the second map especially, we had Jay grabbing wood before the shipwreck, and then Beef going to the ship and coming back from the island. Jay, unfortunately, having a little bit of a mishap in the treasure there with the lava bucket. In the third map, we had Jay coming in, using the extra TNT for the spawner, getting some extra strays. Many different paths to all the different terrain and the strong terrain to the fortress and the bastion, all this stuff. And we only ever saw treasure, so we never really saw any differences in the bastion. But just, I think, consistency came in, that sort of experience came in for BeefSalad, and we saw Jay just playing very aggressively, which typically doesn't really work in this sort of tournament format, and it kind of showed. But it was very interesting to see that sort of more RSG sort of mindset and playstyle come in from the second place player, and I think it could really come to fruition against the right opponent, but not against BeefSalad.
Yeah. I don't hate at all a lot of players will try to like kind of switch up their game or play a little more aggressive when they feel like they're the underdog. And I don't hate it in a sense, but more of the times than not, it's not going to pay off, as we saw here. But I don't hate the unique decisions, like you said, Jay grabbing wood before the shipwreck, things like that. Playing it a little non-standard. I like that idea. I didn't work here. Another thing, I believe this is the first playoff since Glodar was widely kind of utilized by players. So, I mean, no better example of how to do Glodar than a 4 Bastion a 4 Treasure Bastion matchup, where obviously some of those cases you're going to see the Fortress in the way, but just kind of a unique little note, which, some these seeds could have gone a lot differently if players still needed to go break the spawner and do it, the old way.
Yeah, BeefSalad taking down that matchup there. So we've had a few matchups of, 3-0s, 3-1s. How about a 3-2? And not just a 3-2, a reverse sweep of Aquacorde taking down Doogile, which is just, so many people didn't have this in their bracket matchups. And if you had told pretty much 99% of people that Doogile at 2-0 up is going to lose 3-2, they would not have believed you. They would have been saying, right, what are you on about? But no, Aquacorde just incredibly consistent towards the back three here. Just the differences in routes again. Aquacorde taking double, triple in the third seed instead of Doog's triple to gap. Doog failing the 0 in the fourth seed, not being able to chase down. Everyone thought it was over. It wasn't. Here comes Aquacorde. Bang, we're going to hit the 0. We're going to a decider. Doog having to share Seep in the fifth seed. We had a fake ravine, late entries, and Aquacorde just it seemed like all the momentum just shifted just with these minor adjustments over to Aquacorde, and he was able to keep it through and then get the first reverse sweep that just nobody saw coming.
Yeah, I think for me, it was very clear that the pivotal moment of this matchup was Doogile throwing that 0 on the 4th seed. Because you have to think about the mental of like how a reverse sweep happens. And if you're Doogile, when you're up 2-0, you've got effectively 3 more chances. You just need to win one of them. So it's a really easy spot to be in. And Aquacorde winning that first seed, you can say, oh, he got a bit lucky with strays, whatever. It's not the end of the world. He's still got 2 more chances, and the odds are still kind of in Dougile's favor. But when it came to that 4th seed, it was obviously a really difficult 0. 1 bed, 4 anchors. Dougile's someone who's quite mechanical with his zeros. He went for the +1 with the anchors, which obviously it just requires for you to do a lot of inputs very quickly. And he just messed it up. It was just a full player mistake, skill issue. And unfortunately that lost him the whole seed. And then the mindset shifts from, oh, you're 1 seed ahead, you're about to hit the 0, to suddenly it's 2-all. You've just had a potentially really tilting mistake, and all the momentum is in Aquacorde's favor. And all Aquacorde needs to do was just win the 5th seed, and he was able to do that, which I know shocked so many people, though I will say that I did actually have Aquacorde winning this one in my prediction. And I think part of the reason I say this is, in my opinion, he's one of, if not the most underrated players in playoffs. Obviously, he beat Infume at the MCSR Ranked LAN, which was really impressive. And I think of all the top players, he's just one of the most consistent with really low death rates. And even in the seeds he lost, his gameplay looked consistent, and he was able to keep close enough to Doogile that when there was that slight variation with, say, strays in the 3rd seed, or the double triple versus triple to gap, he was able to just capitalize off of that, or capitalize off of a mistake from Doogile. And so, although lots of the story is mistakes from Doogile, I think Aquacorde played really well, and he definitely deserved this win.
If you picked Aquacorde winning in your bracket must be doing really well.
Well, let's not talk about who I put winning the whole thing. It might have been hacks, and that was not great, but I got one good pick.
Yeah, I mean, just like watching a reverse sweep as a viewer is super exciting. It raises the stakes immediately, and just like, I think it really has everyone on the edge of their seats, like watching the event. Like, I was genuinely tensing up at every single micro mistake Aquacorde was making for the entirety of all 3 seeds. And I think that's something that's really fun for viewers, and is definitely just more exciting than a 3-0 clean sweep.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the mental willpower it takes. You're playing undoubtedly one of the best 3 players in the world in terms of playoff history and performance. You're down 0-2, and then you go for a double triple, which is very risky. Well, maybe not very risky, but compared to a guaranteed triple to gap where you're very likely to get your trades, it is pretty risky. And especially you see Doog enter first, you think it's over. Doog's obviously amazing at 0 cycle. Maybe in his head he's already sipping on margaritas in Cancun or something, but Doog fails it, Aqua takes advantage, and then all of a sudden, in that 5th seed, all the pressure shifts to Doogile, and like Aquacorde said, like Andronicus said, Aquacorde was just able to take advantage of that and pull off a very, very impressive upset.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was out of my seat watching that seed. When Doogile fell that 0, I was jumping up. I was like, "Wow, what is going on?" It was crazy. Just for the record, I also had Aquacorde down as predicted to beat Doogile. So, hey, I didn't have a good first day of predictions, but I had a good second day of predictions. And continuing on the trend of me getting predictions, right? Seed number 1. Infume taking down seed number 16, the last seed, HDMICables, in a 3-1 victory. Yeah, a little bit of mind games in this one off the bat. HDMICables changing into a LeBron skin, which was very funny to be received on the broadcast there, as we know. Infume very much loving the 41-year-old. But yeah, this was a very we had a very intriguing seed in this one. I feel like this was kind of akin to sort of the EDCR match where we just saw Infume just shining through. I mean, one of the most mechanical players, consistent players. I mean, there's a reason that he's seed number 1, right? It's just so so well played. Apart from this third seed, we had side setups flying, HDMI fading a 0 because of pearls. We had the hearts left to pearl, and HDMI had an early purge. Infume fails the 1 cycle, then HDMI hits the 1 cycle with half a heart. We don't know if this aggroed Enderman's gonna come and punch in and give us the sort of Skycrab-esque heartbreak. And we thought, oh my god, this might be the most crazy momentum shift of all time. But no kind of reality hit in the final seed, with HDMI struggling with that treasure out, and then dying in the fortress, and I think half the stuff burnt in lava as well. But yeah, I think apart from that little mishap, Infume just quality shining through there. I mean, it was just, there's a reason that this man's the 1 seed, and he's gonna be an absolute force going into the quarterfinals. I'm completely sure of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, very, I don't want to say expected result, but Infume is a monster. We knew he was a massive favorite going into this game, and it was very impressive. It's a good thing that HDMI won that 3rd seed, because unlike LeBron against OKC, he didn't get swept, so it's great. It's not over yet. Well, it'll be over in about 4 hours. It'll be over in about 4 hours. It is a little depressing that on that 3rd seed that both players can fail 0, both players can miss a perch, and then they can also still finish the seed 11 seconds faster than my PB. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's not the point of this. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see. I think Infume can go all the way in this one, in this playoffs, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's not the Emerald Offs after all, you know? It's all right, man. You'll get back up to Diamond someday. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. Yeah, and normally, obviously, in every other case, we'd be going on to our 8th and final game of the round of 16. But unfortunately, the Feinberg and Lowkey match was postponed until today, when you're seeing this. So that's why this is an hour earlier than it would normally be. And that's why playoffs is an hour extra for today's games, just because the Feinberg Lowkey match is being played on Grand Finals weekend, which will be really interesting to see how both players manage that one, given the fact that they'll be playing a lot more high pressure seeds in one day. The round of 16 done. Moving on over into the quarterfinals, wrapping up quite a pivotal last few weeks in the MCSR community. Not the only tournament as well, of course, as we've had at the MCSR Ranked LAN, but also Mollyyxy's Girl-Offs, who is here to tell us all about it.
Hello, I'm Molly. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Norway. I've been speedrunning Minecraft for about 5 years. I kind of see myself in more of like a behind the scenes role. I really like commentating tournaments when I have the opportunity to do so. And I've had the opportunity to host my own tournament.
The very wildly successful Girl-Offs now very, very recently just completed its 2nd iteration. Can you just talk about like the format, kind of why you thought you'd bring this sort of tournament to light, and what you're showcasing through it?
The format is like, it's very similar to playoffs. It's single elimination. We do best of 3 because we have a bigger amount of players. We do 24 players. And then when you go to the semifinals, we do best of 5s. So the idea behind Girl-Offs is really just to have as many women as possible in a tournament, all from the runners to commentators to behind the scenes production. I just really wanted like women to have a big place to connect together, because I think when you look at a lot of Minecraft tournaments and you look at the community, you can see that the community from my perspective is really 50-50. But when you look at tournaments, it's hard to even name any tournaments that have majority women or even have close to half women in the first place. I felt like I kind of had an opportunity to do something. I'm really happy with that I was able to do a tournament with all women. Like if you look at the tournaments, most of them are invite only. The idea with Girl-Offs was I would post this sign up form where just any women in the entire community could sign up. So just having as many as possible get an opportunity for us to learn that a bunch of these runners in the top 100, top 150, whatever netherite runners are girls that you just didn't know, and for them to show their skill.
And have the chance to build that experience of that sort of format, because I feel like that's quite an important thing in how winning tournaments is as a factor, just that sort of experience. You talked about giving sort of a platform, if you like, for all these women who just perhaps don't stream or don't get the viewers that other people may have as a result. Like, why do you think that sort of representation at the top to the public eye just isn't there?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to like maybe women don't want to stream because of course on the internet there's just so much misogyny, so much hate. Like me and like anyone else I've talked to have experienced like awful comments while streaming. Like I can't think of a single stream that I've had where in the last couple of years where I haven't gotten like an awful comment. So it's kind of like demotivating to get into the space. Then even when you're in the space and you're trying to grow, some people just don't want to watch women streamers. It's maybe like people don't think about it, but a lot of people have like a bias, a hidden bias maybe. And maybe some of them, it's not really a hidden bias at all. They are very public about it. They just don't want to see women in the space. They just don't want to watch women. I think it's important that women also get as fair of a platform as possible to show themselves on. Like you said about playoffs, like people put in a lot of effort. So if you aren't in the top 16, you aren't going to be in playoffs. And if you're a woman, you're not going to get invited to most events. I seeded all the players based on their ELO, their PB, and their average. Like I made my own formula and I got the 24 highest seeded players, and those are the ones I invited to girl offs. So having 24 women in the tournament, just giving space to as many women as possible to show their skill. From the first girl offs to the second girl offs, I think the improvement was just crazy. A lot of it comes down to the community has grown a lot as well. So just a lot of new runners have shown up and they're so good. And it was really, really fun to watch during the second girl offs.
Do you think that giving that platform, as we've spoken about tournament experience, I mean, we've seen it literally this past week with Skycrab, who went on to win the Ranked LAN off the back of winning Koreaway's free-for-all tournament. So do you believe that Girls is giving that all-important platform to women to have that tournament experience to build off of, to potentially see them do greater in playoffs?
Yeah, of course. I think the more tournaments you play in, of course, the better you're going to play in your next one. Funnily enough, like the top 4 in the Girl Offs 2, none of them won a game in Girl Offs 1. So I think just having played tournaments before, gaining more experience, like maybe in Girl Offs 3, like people that didn't win a single game in Girl Offs 2 are going to be in our top 4, is going to be our winner just because of getting some more tournament experience.
Thank you, Molly, and we'll be hearing again from Molly in a little while. Now, we've done enough looking back. We've sort of laid the land for what we'll be seeing on later on this weekend. It's time to look ahead for the quarterfinals, and we have some absolute heaters coming in. Very just off the gates from the top of the bracket. First seed Infume, 8th seed Silver. In a very hotly contested matchup. They have very close records against each other. It's nearly 50-50 there or thereabouts. Infume, first seed won, by the way, to make it past the round of 16 since season 3. That was back in January 2024. The format was different in seasons 5 and 6, so that's why we've discounted from that stat. Every single seed won. That's what I talk about with the seed 1 curse. Every single seed won in the round of 16 era has not made it past. Infume being the first to break that record in nearly 2.5 years. So really interesting to see. I just think in terms of this sort of matchup, I hate to be the neutral guy here. This is the type of matchup where you could really see, this is almost a final before a final. You could really see, especially given Silver's performance against Hacks, which kind of took, I guess, most people by surprise, and Infume being the absolute tank that he is. It's a really interesting blend of styles, I feel, in this sort of matchup. I'm just really intrigued to see how it goes down. This is one of the ones I'm gonna have my hands up. I can't call this one.
Yeah. I think, I mean, you see it there, like 19 one draw and it's a 3-game difference in terms of wins and losses, which I think is one of the closest ratios we see here in the round of 8 or the quarterfinals. It is too close to call. I think Silver had, very tough opposition in the first round, but I think Infume has the higher ceiling. But I just have 3 things to say about this one as my prediction. Neymar loves to dive. Tupac is alive. Infume in 5. I'm going 3-2 Infume.
Oh, I mean, this final season, you gotta bring him out. Oh yeah. Rhubarb, how do you see this one going? Very even matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that has become very clear, especially following last weekend's matches, is that Infume really isn't dealing with the same nerves he's dealt with in past playoffs. I mean, the way he's playing with such confidence, even handling like a pretty bad loss so well, I think that that's not a thing that he needs to worry about anymore. Like, I think we're seeing none of the nerves, and I think what we've seen is he's coming into his own. He's being able to put on the show that we all knew he was able to the whole time, this time, in playoffs on this big stage, and I think it'll pay off. I agree. I entirely with Poundy. I think he's making it all the way to grand finals, and then from there we'll see.
With both of you predding Infume, I do really want to go the other way and put my money on Silver. Particularly, like, Silver's looked so impressive, and I feel like he's kind of owed a really good playoffs run. But at the end of the day, Infume's the best player in the world. There's a reason he's the number 1 seed. And I think he's taking it 3-1. And not only is he taking this, I think he's winning all of playoffs. I think this is his season.
Oh, big call. He's gone early. Big call. I mean, we'll see in the predictions later on at the end of the show to see how we all kind of have stacked up our brackets. I don't know, maybe people are throwing out a few surprises here or there to see what we throw in there. But yeah, no, this is, I mean, it's crazy. It's a crazy game. I think we're going the distance. Who will win? We shall see. I'm taking the neutral one. I'm going to be the neutral host of this one. I'm going to use my power as the host to be completely neutral. Speaking of neutral and things of being on kind of an even side, even split, Aquacorde against Mongey. 4 wins each in season 10. They only play each other 4 times. Now, obviously, very big time zone difference. Not a lot of data to go off of there. So it will be very interesting. But the 10 seed up against the 13 seed here.
Yeah, it's always interesting. I mean, MCSR ranked, it's kind of a weird sport compared to many others in which your opponent really has no impact on what you're doing. You can, they can't stop you. They can't shoot at you, things like that. But at the same time, I think there is a mental aspect, especially if, you have a massive gap of wins and losses between your opponent, or, your opponent is like the type of person to do something weird on the terrain routing. And you're like, you kind of have to be like stutter for a second and be like, think about what they would do and if they've made up time on you. But I mean, this is as perfectly balanced as it gets. Obviously, they don't play that often. Like you said, completely different time zones. But 4-4 in this one. I think even in the current season, they've only played 1. Before that, they've only played 6 before season 10. So this is, I think, going to be the closest match in terms of how each match goes, or each game of this match goes. I could see it going either way. Aquacorde coming off a massive victory against Doogile. Mongey with, considerable amounts of experience. I think I'm going to go Mongey, and I think I'm going to go 3-1. But I think it's going to be considerably, like, it's going to be very close in each game.
I'm gonna disagree with Poundy here. Now, maybe there's slight personal bias because I was in the hot tub with Aquacorde.
Whoa. Now that's personal bias. That's just like, let's calm it down in here.
But at the end of the day, I said my point before that I think Aquacorde is the most underrated player in playoffs. As much as Mongey is really consistent, I think Aquacorde's more consistent. I think we might see 1 or 2 mistakes from Mongey, and I think Aquacorde's going to take this. There is going to be a fight, and I say Aquacorde wins 3-2.
Yeah, I think I'm very much on the same page as Andronicus on this one. I definitely do see Aquacorde being able to pull this off, but I also don't think it'll be easy. They're both incredibly good players. I think their past matches this past weekend have shown us that they're, incredibly good and strong on decision making, and they're going to be able to handle these tougher seeds pretty well. So I also think it will be a 2-3 to Aquacorde. But I mean, I think one thing that we've seen is like Aquacorde has really proven his ability to play well under pressure. Like dealing with the reverse sweep last weekend, I think just proved that, and I think he'll be able to play well under pressure in this quarterfinals and really pull it off.
Yeah, some great points. I mean, I'm kind of surprised the whole, most of the booth has been on the side of Aquacorde here. I'm not, in my opinion. I'm very much with Andronicus, I think. Well, the points Andronicus specifically made in that one, in the sense of, I believe Aquacorde is probably MCSR's most improved player. Just an incredibly solid player that I've had my eye on for quite a long time. just like, you know, a 4th place in at season 9. Also has variety in the sense of also goes and plays RSG. You know, maybe also the time zone difference in the sense of, obviously, I mean, Mongey, we all know, does not have the greatest sleep schedule in the world. But, you know, it must play some sort of a fatigue factor in this, you know, playing these at like 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning. Having that effect. So but yeah, Aquacorde, incredibly solid player. Would not be surprised to see us go either way. But if I'm gonna hedge my bets, I'm probably gonna go Aquacorde. I do really believe in Aquacorde in here. Well, that was quite a global battle, quite a cross-continental battle. How about one stuck to a little island just above Europe? The Battle of the Brits, BeefSalad against EDCR. And I've got to say, this last matchup we just talked about, you know, 4 each. This isn't even close. EDCR over season 10 beat BeefSalad by a margin of 30-9. That is ridiculous. That is consistency on a whole other level that just we haven't really seen the like in any other sort of. And these are 2 consistent playoffs players where EDCR just has the upper hand pretty much every single time.
Yeah, that feels almost unheard of at this level, where these are both, you know, playoff level players. Obviously, EDCR has a lot of impressive records and things like that, but 30-9, and something I noticed as well looking into this, the score, like you said, was 30 wins for EDCR, 9 for BeefSalad in season 10. In season 9, it was 34-30. So that's a massively significant drop off between those 2 seasons for BeefSalad's winning percentage. And that has to play a mental impact in playoffs, even though, you know, you're in control of your own destiny, essentially. You're in control of your own gameplay. But 30-9, a 77% win rate is crazy.
I am going with sort of the unexpected pick here. I am picking a 3-1 for BeefSalad. I think that, you know, despite the fact that the record maybe is not in their favor, what we've seen recently with, you know, their performance at the LAN event and recent performance in practice for the for ranked playoffs, I think they've been doing incredibly well. While Beef isn't always the most consistent player in the world, I think when they're at their best, they're getting incredible top speeds. So I can see him doing very well this weekend against EDCR.
I'm actually going to fully agree with you, as I've also put BeefSalad winning that one 3-1. And I think, although in theory, if you look at the stats from this season, EDCR is the huge favourite, I have to think back to the last 2 playoffs, where EDCR was the huge favourite against VStrid, then the huge favourite against Steez, and lost both of them. And yes, EDCR will have a bit more confidence having beaten ulsahin the first round, but the difference between ulsahin and BeefSalad is of huge magnitude. Like, it was ulsahin's first playoffs, whereas BeefSalad is one of the most experienced players here, obviously making it to the final in the LAN, having had so many good playoffs runs, and I think it's going to be very difficult for EDCR, and so I'm going to say BeefSalad takes this one 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, I just to give my official prediction here, I'm going to disagree with you both pretty heavily. I think EDCR's gotten over that playoff nerves hump we saw from him maybe a couple times. I think the record in the regular season will show out here. I'm going to predict a 3-0 sweep here for EDCR.
Big.
Oh.
Yep.
That is different. I was going to say, I think this booth. Not fond of Poundy's predictions.
Yeah, have they agreed with me once?
I don't think any of us agreed with you once. I mean, what? We're on the 3rd matchup.
Well, no, I think we all agreed on Infume.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm feeling a little hungry. I think I'm gonna go BeefSalad. Yeah. Wow. BeefSalad is probably my favorite player to watch. The mechanics, the drag clicks, the decision making. Like I don't know. I just feel like Beef has pretty much the complete package. The only thing that's missing, from what I see, is the mental game. And it's like, this is like the tale of 2 humps. EDCR are trying to get over that sort of playoffs hump, not being able to get past round 16, finally getting past round 16, but it's against a rookie. It's against someone who's not proven and has just such a big, giant talent gulf to the rest of those top 10 seeded players. Whereas BeefSalad just can't really get over the line. I mean, we saw it even at the Rank Land. Couldn't beat Skycrab, who isn't even in playoffs this time round. So this is just a pure mental battle in my eyes of who's going to be able to take this. And I think I'm going to err on the side of BeefSalad. Maybe it will go to a game 5. Maybe it will be a sweep. I'm going to sit in the middle, go for a 3-1. But I think Beef's got this. And this is a pure momentum game. I feel like whoever wins out of these two, top of your radar for the rest of playoffs. Top of your radar for this playoffs. This is going to be really, really pivotal. Pivotal? That's the word. We got there at the end. There we go. Yeah. I know how to speak. I've talked too much. Well, we would obviously be having a quarterfinal to talk about, but before, we have a round of 16 tie to talk about, because that's going to be played on the same day as the quarterfinal. So facing NHB will be one of Lowkey and Feinberg, who you probably wouldn't think it, but they don't really play each other too often. Obviously, two incredible players here. Being around for so long, so experienced, especially in such a playoffs format. It's a clash of two titans that I think people were surprised when Feinberg picked Lowkey in LCQ, but for me, I think this was the perfect pick. I mean, not just from a stats perspective on how they've played each other, I guess, all time, because it was really interesting to hear how all the players kind of talk through their pick'ems in the seed selection after LCQ. But I think this was the right pickup. I think Feinberg's sort of game style blends well against Lowkey, in my opinion. I mean, what is there to say about Feinberg? It's Feinberg. There's, if you know playoffs, you know Feinberg. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with Feinberg, but really wouldn't be surprised to see Lowkey take this and take his first win of Season 10 against Feinberg.
Now, in a couple of days' time, I might completely regret everything that I'm about to say, but here's my hot take. Lowkey is washed. Lowkey is past it. Lowkey peaked many seasons ago. The last season he struggled to beat Nahan, then lost to Infume. Season before lost. Obviously, Infume is a very good player. And he's also just not been playing as much ranked as he used to. And although lots of people have really high expectations for Lowkey, I just don't think he's going to do as well as people expect. Whereas Feinberg, I'll be honest, as much as I hate to say it, I think he might be back. I think we might be returning to the era of Feinberg. And my only caveat that's prevented me thinking this is the first match of the day. It's earlier than usual. And I think Feinberg might be getting up the earliest he's woken up in months. So that potentially could nerf him a bit. But I'm going to say that Feinberg will take this 3-0 sweep.
Bold call. Bold call.
I'm going to regret this so much.
I don't know. I actually am on board. I also think that Lowkey, despite the fact that he's a 3-time playoffs winner, I just don't know that it's still like something that I think we still expect. I think maybe he is a little washed. And that I'm definitely predicting a Feinberg win. I think he'll take it 3-1. I mean, if you look at Feinberg's record against Lowkey this season, it's pretty one-sided. And so I don't think it'll be particularly difficult, but I think it will still be a very, very fun match to watch.
Yeah, I'm scared of what Andronicus said, because that was very, I know I called the sweep for EDCR. I don't think, Lowkey, I don't think you're washed, okay? I do think you will lose to Feinberg, right? But I want to separate where I'm at from where Andronicus is at. I think it'll be pretty close. I think 3-1 to Feinberg. I think all the matches will be really close, but I'm also going to go with Feinberg to advance here.
Yeah, man, throwing out the wash allegations. That's crazy.
Maybe that was a bit fast.
He's not even played a game. No. He's not even played a game. You're throwing out wash allegations, dude. I'd like to see you try. God damn. Okay.
I'm
not one to speak, to be fair.
I've played Feinberg once, one draw, so.
Yeah. I'm sitting here giving all my opinions, and I'm comfortably in Cole 1. It's fine.
Hey, at least you got it right. I didn't even play the game.
I have one completion. I have one completion ever.
Hey, some people got 0. You're chill.
I'm down one game against Lowkey, but in my defense, that was before he was washed. So
So do you think you would beat Lowkey now?
yeah.
You do. You're telling me 50 games against Lowkey, how many are you winning?
8. I can take a solid 8.
8 games.
Yeah.
That's bold.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I just can't get over the Bosch allegations. It's crazy. Honestly, this is going, mate, Twitter's going to be out for you soon. That is long one. Lowkey wins this all over Twitter, that clip, mate, honestly. No, so obviously this being around 16 game, this is going to go into speed, very hotly anticipated, very much watched by NHB, who's maybe, does that technically have an upper hand? You know, do you want your opponent warmed up in that environment before you play them, or do you just sit there and look, it's Feinberg on Lowkey, it don't matter? So I mean, we've all picked Feinberg here, but who do we think's going through into the semis out of NHB and the potential of the two? I would probably err on the side of momentum carrying through. I think both these players are just vastly more experienced and just better players at the moment in NHB. But hey, you never know. NHB pulled off quite the shock himself. Maybe he'll repeat it again.
I mean, I currently have my pick'ems saying Feinberg will be able to, take that match against NHB. And I think, honestly, regardless of how the Lowkey Feinberg match goes, I think NHB probably doesn't win that one. But I think I'm still excited to see how it turns out.
Cool. So Feinberg, Andro.
I've also gone Feinberg. Like Lowkey is, NHB is maybe better mechanically, but I think Feinberg is more consistent, got more experience. I said he's going for a run. I think he's making it to the semifinals.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that here. I think getting that momentum from playing earlier in the day, kind of settling your nerves a little bit by having that, tournament practice, whereas NHB will have to wait the whole time. I'm going to say Feinberg goes through again here.
Well, yeah, whole desk made our picks for the semi-finals, and we have our picks for the finals, but there's one more thing we gotta do. We gotta throw it back to Mollyyxy, who is looking to make a pair of finals of her own. Moving on to something upcoming though, and as it has now been announced that you are coached in mid-offs at TwitchCon, so congratulations for that. And of course, this is broadcasted on all the Minecraft official channels. How does that make you feel?
Like, I don't even know how I would describe my feelings when Fulham messaged me and he just said that he suggested to Turbo that I could be a coach. Like, I got so excited just like on the thought that this could happen. Like, I was running around my apartment screaming, like I was so excited. And then a couple days later, like Turbo actually reaching out to me. It was just like so insane. Like, I was shaking. Like, I've been streaming a lot for 5 years. Like, I feel like this is like the biggest thing that could happen to anyone on a live stage in front of an audience. There's gonna be so many people watching. Like, I'm really nervous, but I'm also like just so thankful to be in this position. Like, I don't have the words for this.
Do you know how big the capacity is, by the way, for the Minecraft studio?
I don't.
Because I've heard it's around 10,000 people in the arena. So
sure that doesn't fill up. No one's meeting up. No one's showing up, surely.
But most notably as well, you are the only, to my knowledge, the only participant that is a woman. I also believe the only trans person in that lineup as well. How important do you feel it is that there is a representation on show for the community that we've established is so queer and so diverse?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, this is an MCSR community. It's like all the coaches are, Minecraft speedrunners like myself, and knowing like how our community looks, that there are a lot of women and a lot of trans people in the community, I feel really happy that someone like me will on the stage. I always root for a woman. If a woman is playing, I always root for like any queer player that I know is playing, because I think like representation is really, really important. Like, maybe a lot of people don't think about this if you are very privileged and see yourself represented a lot, but when it's really rare to see, then it feels really special. So I'm really happy that someone like me, it didn't have to be me, but just someone like me is going to be at an event like this. And the fact that it's me, it makes me really nervous. Like, I feel like there's a lot of pressure. Like, a lot of people will be looking at me specifically because of, like, I'm gonna stand out. But more than anything, I'm just really, really thankful for the opportunity, and yeah, I'm very, very excited.
Awesome. I can't wait, I'm so excited for you and Andrew in particular, It's really cool to see some different representation up there rather than, like, I guess, like, your big shots per se.
No Kai left.
Yeah, no Kai left. Oh, we're gonna have to put up a black and white photo of him up on the stage and have everyone hold him. It's like not coming up. Oh, yeah, no, you'll be fine. I'm sure you'll get up there. You'll get like an hour in, and you'll be in the coaching head, and you'll be like, right, let's.
Yeah, I just gotta lock in. That's what's important.
But is that sort of representation the thing that you hope to achieve through Girloffs? Like, is that sort of the main driving force and inspiration for Girloffs?
I mean, what I really wanted to achieve with Girloffs was for the women that just don't have any other space to shine, to just really, like, get their name out there. Like, you're kind of seeing it now, like, how many followers and like fan arts the runners that were in Girloffs are getting. Something that I did is doing something positive for them, and that's kind of just why I wanted to do Girloffs in the first place. I just really wanted to do something positive for others, because I'm really lucky to have this platform so that I can use it to help others out. And I was really happy that during both of the Girloffs we're able to raise a lot of money for charity. Like, when I started streaming, that's kind of something that I was always thinking about. Like, I really want to raise money for charity if I'm gonna be streaming. With Girloffs both 1 and 2 able to raise over $2,000 each time. I just can't believe, like, the success that it's had, and I'm so thankful for everything it turned out to be.
Hell yeah. And I'm sure we're all going to be looking forward to the inevitable Girloffs 3 as well. You got any surprises and stuff for that, or anything you can tell us about? Or?
I have a lot of ideas. I definitely want to do another Girloffs 3 that's kind of the same as these ones. I also want to do one that's more in the style of, say, LCQ, where you could have maybe 50, maybe 100. It could be really, really fun, and I want to figure out how to do that.
That's going to be so cool. Appreciate your time, Molly. Thanks for hopping on, and we'll see you in Rotterdam on the big stage. I'm really so excited for it.
I'm very excited. Thank you so much.
It's so awesome to be able to talk to Molly, all things Girloffs, all things mid-offs, all things just representation in the MCSR community, and I'm really excited to see her, of course, Andrew here, and everyone else on the mid-off stage over in Rotterdam. So excited for that. I'm also so excited to see your guys' submissions. Yes, this is sort of a segment to promote other parts of the MCSR community that we just may not see, or just deserve some more of a spotlight. So if you've got anyone, whether it's yourself, your own project, or anyone else's project, go to the link here, type it in, iambendo.com/form, fill it out, and me and the team will be able to reach out and hopefully be able to feature you and your project on the next show. Speaking of looking ahead, guys, we have my favorite part of the whole show. It's our bracket predictions. We get to see who we have picked to go all the way into the final and lift the trophy and take home $3,000. So we'll start with the man who entire bracket has already failed from the outset. Andronicus, who have you selected in replacement of hacking noises to go all the way?
As much as I really want it to be Aquacorde or BeefSalad, at the end of the day, last season Infume, he made it all the way to the finals, and the only thing that was able to stop him, it was hacking noises, and hacking noises is gone. Infume is, in my opinion, comfortably the best player in the world. He's managed to figure out playoffs, and although I think Feinberg will take 1 seed off him in the final, I think it's going to be a comfortable win, and Infume's going to beat Feinberg in the final 4-1.
Ooh. Big choice. Who you got third place, by the way?
Aquacorde third place, and then BeefSalad in fourth. So, but I think that will be a close one as well.
Strong pick'ems. Awesome. Rhubarb, who have you got going all the way to win season 10 ranked playoffs?
I also have Infume going all the way. I have a BeefSalad Infume Grand Finals, which I think took me a long time to really decide who I thought was going to win that, but I do think it will be Infume. And I'm very excited.
Awesome. All right, Poundy, go on. Give us a speech. Who you got going all the way?
He was in the ER last weekend, right? What a story it would be for the Feinberg to go all the way and win these finals. Unfortunately, I have him losing in the semifinals to EDCR and Infume winning the whole thing against EDCR in the grand finals. So a clean sweep of Infume here from us three.
Hey, wow. So number 1 seed holding its value, going all the way after not being successful past the round of 16 since the first round, and Infume looking to be the first North American in over a year to win a Tier 1 MCSR event, including free-for-all, including ranked playoffs, and including the ranked LAN. So, will it be a clean sweep on the desk? I do have Infume going to the final. I do not have Infume winning the entire bracket, okay? Just like LeBron, going out in the finals, not going all the way. It's not going to be a full row sweep. He's not even going to... He might not even get a game. We don't know. Who have I got going all the way? I said it. It would be a momentum game. Whoever wins out of EDCR, BeefSalad. It's the year of the BeefSalad. Give me BeefSalad to go all the way in the grand final, taking down Infume with Aquacorde winning the 3rd place matchup against Feinberg. I got BeefSalad all the way, going all the way in the grand final. And I'm going to be the only one not on the desk to pick Infume. But we've all picked Infume to go to the final itself. So yeah, really interested to see how everyone else's pick'ems go over on the pick'ems website. Try and get yourselves up the leaderboard as far as possible. See who's got the most ball knowledge out of everyone in the MCSR community. Well, it seems weird. It's time to start and go and watch the games played. It's been really fun having everyone on. Thank you to Poundy, thank you to Rhubarb, thank you to Andrew, thank you to Fenniq and Molly as well for that's a terrible heartbreak. You gotta redo that one. Go on, I'll give you what is this? What is this?
Anatomically correct heart.
See, there we go. Rhubarb's got it on.
There we go.
I'm going to put that on a sign in Rotterdam, by the way. I'm going to hold up a massive sign for you, and it's going to be you doing this.
Oh, that's crazy. What have I just seen?
He just starts making up shapes. Oh, that's just the perfect way to round it off. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Poundy. Oh, thank you, Rhubarb. Thank you, Fenniq. Thank you, Molly, for all hopping on. Thank you, Ultoid, for the music. Thank you, Crit, for the graphics. Anyone else who's involved that I haven't mentioned, forgotten to, because it is late. Of course, added on the post, added on the credits. And thank you everyone at home for tuning in as well. And we really do hope you enjoy what's going to be a Season 10 ranked playoffs. From me and everyone else here, it's goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.